This morning, MTV is suspending production of the popular reality show Buckwild following the tragic death of its young and emerging star.
When MTV's Buckwild first hit the airwaves, it was chaos, mud pits, and wild country antics that had everyone talking. The cast, a group of loud, reckless West Virginia 20-somethings, quickly became reality TV's latest obsession. But behind the rowdy stunts and shotgun parties, real life was creeping in, and it wasn't pretty. Fast forward to 2025, and the once infamous crew isn't just a faded memory of reality TV's messiest moments. Some are gone, some are locked up, and the rest still running from the ghosts of their 15 minutes of fame. Here's a haunting look at the Buckwild cast members who are either dead or behind bars today. How Buckwild came to life. When Buckwild premiered on January 3, 2013, it wasn't just another MTV stunt show, it felt like a cultural grenade. Set in Charleston and Sissonville, West Virginia, the series followed 9 local 20-somethings carving out their own chaos. Mud racing, squirrel hunting, rope swings over creeks, and backyard parties that felt more like endurance tests than TV episodes. MTV called it Appalachia's answer to Jersey Shore, a label that stuck for better or worse. MTV first picked up Buckwild in November 2011, targeting a 2012 launch, but silence fell for over a year. Then, in late 2012, producers announced the show would debut in early January with a back-to-back episode format, 12 episodes in all. Viewers tuned in. Buckwild debuted to 2.49 million viewers, twice what Jersey Shore drew in its first week back in 2009. It was wild stuff. Fans got attached fast, not only to the mud and mayhem, but also to personalities who felt real. Shane, Shea, Tyler, Joey, Ashley, Cara, Katie, Salwa, and Anna. The messy crew with nowhere else to go. Their lives on screen felt both small-town raw and strangely mesmerizing. But then came devastating news. On April 1, 2013, Easter weekend, Buckwild's central figure, Shane Gandee died in a tragic mudding accident. He, along with his uncle David and a friend, drowned in carbon monoxide after their Ford Bronco got stuck in deep mud. MTV suspended filming of Season 2, although the season had already been greenlit on February 6th, and just days later officials confirmed the series was canceled entirely. On April 9th, management stated it felt inappropriate to continue without Shane, whose presence had grounded the entire show. Not everyone was silent about the decision. J.P. Williams, an executive at Parallel Entertainment, criticized MTV's choice, calling out the network for sticking with other controversial content, yet pulling the plug here. He pointed out that viewers were still tuning in for shows about teen pregnancy, while canceling Buckwild felt off. Meanwhile, Charleston's mayor called the cancellation a welcome relief, saying the show had only reinforced harmful stereotypes about Appalachia. In the wake of the cancellation, fans held out hope for revival. A special called Buckwild, WV to NYC, filmed before Shane's death, was expected to air. Producers even floated plans for a revival in Alaska or Texas under a new name, an idea that ultimately turned into Slednecks, which also fizzled after one season. Behind the scenes, Buckwild had already sparked controversy. Salwa Amin was arrested in February 2013 in a drug raid, 9 months after the show's pickup announcement. She and a partner were found hiding in a shed with oxycodone and heroin and were charged with felony drug possession with intent to deliver. She later failed a drug test, which led to rehab, and then returned to jail as part of a plea deal. By January 2014, she pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 1 to 5 years in prison after agreeing to testify. Another cast member, Michael Bluefoot Burford, landed in legal trouble too, arrested for aggravated DUI on February 15, 2013, just weeks before filming shut down. It wasn't the kind of press MTV used to. No sense of irony was lost when the show's most reckless behavior ended up mirrored in real life. At its heart, Buckwild had always been controversial fare. Critics accused it of exploiting stereotypes about Appalachian poverty, contributing to the state refusing tax credits. Senator Joe Manchin went on record demanding MTV drop the show before it even aired, writing that it plays to ugly, inaccurate stereotypes, and criticizing the network for coaxing young people into shameful behavior for profit. But viewers watched anyway because, for a brief moment, This cast felt wildly alive. They were flawed, reckless, and genuine. And for those who connected, Buckwild mattered. The show's cancellation was swift. MTV confirmed on April 1st that production was paused, grieving support was offered to the cast and crew, and no unaired Season 2 episodes would be released. Those early episodes remained shelved, while producers pushed for continuation. Even as a movie, MTV firmly said no, opting instead for memorial programming dedicated to Shane's memory. Loretta Gandee, Shane's mom, endorsed MTV's plans, expressing gratitude to share some of his final moments doing what he loved most, entertaining people and laughing. Buckwild captured a certain Appalachian youth culture, rough around the edges, loud and raw, but it also tugged on real lives and real consequences. The show ended in tragedy, controversy, and silence, but for those months it aired, it felt utterly alive. But before the show ended, we were introduced to casts who gave the audiences something to look forward to and laugh about. Sadly, after the camera stopped rolling, many of the cast have met rather tragic ends. While some casts have kicked the bucket, others are rotting away behind bars. So who are those casts slowly away behind bars? Keep watching to find out. Shane Gandee. Before the wild parties and muddy stunts of Buckwild turned into tragedy, Shane Gandee was the show's beating heart. Affectionately dubbed Gandee Candy by fans and castmates alike, Shane was a standout not because he was the loudest or most outrageous, but because of his laid-back charm, boyish grin, and genuine West Virginia spirit. Where others tried to be rowdy for the cameras, Shane didn't have to fake it. He was the real deal. Born and raised in Sissonville, West Virginia, Shane was a self-proclaimed redneck with a love for the outdoors, off-roading, and anything that involved getting down and dirty in the mud. Long before the MTV cameras rolled into town, he had already mastered the art of mudding, four-wheeling, and living life on the edge, country style. He wasn't trying to be a star, he was just being himself, and that's exactly why people connected with him. When MTV launched Buckwild in 2013 as a sort of Southern Fried successor to Jersey Shore, it quickly became clear who the fan favorite was. Shane brought a kind of innocence and fun-loving energy to the cast that made him instantly likable. He wasn't caught up in drama or chasing fame. He was just the mud-covered guy next door who loved his hometown and didn't take life too seriously. Viewers loved that. So did the producers. He was already lined up for the second season of the show before tragedy struck. In the early hours of March 31, 2013, Easter weekend, Shane, his 48-year-old uncle David Gandee, and 27-year-old friend Donald Robert Myers headed out in Shane's 1984 Ford Bronco for a night of fun. They told people they were going four-wheeling, something Shane had done countless times before, but this time, they never came back. When the group failed to return, their families reported them missing. For days, no one knew what had happened. The search ended in heartbreak when their bodies were discovered in the vehicle, which had been partially submerged in deep mud in a remote area near Sissonville. Authorities determined that the tailpipe had become clogged with mud while the engine was running, causing carbon monoxide to seep into the cabin. All three men died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Shane Gandee was officially pronounced dead on April 1, 2013. He was just 21 years old. The news shocked fans and devastated the Buckwild cast. MTV immediately suspended production on Season 2, and not long after, the show was officially canceled. What was supposed to be a celebration of small-town wildness suddenly became a national cautionary tale. Shane's death wasn't just a tragic loss for reality TV, it was a blow to anyone who had rooted for the kid who kept things simple and fun. He was a reminder that fame didn't change everyone. Some people, like Shane Gandee, stayed true to who they were, and that's exactly why he was so loved and why his loss still stings over a decade later. Much like Shane, the next person on the list story also reads somewhat sad. Salwa Amin. Before mugshots and court dates took over the headlines, Salwa Amin was one of the most unforgettable faces to come out of MTV's Buckwild. Loud, fiery, and impossible to ignore, she was dubbed the Bengali in Boots, a nickname that captured her cultural background and her flair for drama in one breath. While most of the cast fit the typical mold of small-town Southern wildness, Salwa stood out, not just because she was the only cast member of South Asian descent, but because she brought her own brand of chaos to the screen. equal parts hilarious, defiant, and unpredictable. Born and raised in West Virginia, Salwa was a first-generation American who knew exactly how to shake things up. She was quick with a clapback, never backed down from an argument, and always came through with the party energy. She wasn't just there for the ride. Salwa was the moment. So when MTV launched Buckwild in 2013, Salwa added a kind of spice no one saw coming. She didn't care about fitting in, and fans loved her for it. But behind the on-screen antics was someone who, like the rest of the cast, was still figuring things out. The fame came fast, the parties got wilder, and for Salwa, things spiraled just as quickly. Not long after the first season aired, her name stopped appearing in reality TV blogs and started showing up in police reports. In February 2013, Salwa Amin was arrested in a drug raid that made national headlines. Police found her hiding in a shed on a property in Nicholas County, West Virginia, along with 2 men. According to the criminal complaint, the shed contained a large quantity of oxycodone pills, heroin, and cash. Authorities allege that Salwa was involved in a drug operation with plans to distribute controlled substances. She was charged with felony drug possession with intent to deliver. The arrest shocked the Buckwild fan base. Salwa had always been the wild child of the group, but no one expected things to take such a dark turn. She was booked and held on a $200,000 bond. In court, she was ordered to undergo inpatient rehab before being sentenced to a year in jail. When she got out, it looked like Salwa was trying to rewrite her story. In November 2017, she shared some hopeful news. She was pregnant. The announcement came through social media, and for a while, it seemed like things were looking up. There were photos of her smiling, holding her baby bump, and talking about motherhood. It felt like a fresh chapter, but the hope was short-lived. In January 2018, just months after announcing her pregnancy, Salwa was arrested again, this time on charges that echoed her past. According to reports, she was picked up for possession of cannabis with intent to distribute, conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance, and being a prohibited person in possession of a firearm. She was held without bail, and fans were left wondering whether she would ever get out of the legal mess that seemed to follow her. Since then, updates have been few and far between. With no clear public records about the final outcome of her 2018 arrest, it's believed that the case might still be pending or quietly resolved behind closed doors. Either way, Salwa Amin disappeared from the spotlight almost as quickly as she entered it. Once the life of the Buckwild party, her story now reads like a cautionary tale about fast living and the choices that come after the cameras stop rolling. Shea Bradley. Before she was saving lives in a hospital ward, Shea Bradley was raising eyebrows and stirring drama on MTV's Buckwild. Nicknamed the Spicy Southern Belle, Shea brought her own brand of sass, charm, and no-nonsense realness to the reality show's chaotic energy. Whether it was flirty banter, fiery showdowns, or making heads turn in a bikini, she knew how to command a scene, and fans couldn't get enough. Born and raised in West Virginia, Shea wasn't your typical backwoods mudslinger, and that's exactly why she stood out. She had the southern drawl and country roots, sure, but she also had polish, ambition, and a sharp edge. When Buckwild debuted, Shea quickly became one of the breakout stars. She was beautiful, outspoken, and didn't back down when things got messy, especially when it came to her roller coaster relationship with fellow cast member Jessie J. It was that relationship, in fact, that gave Shea some of her most memorable moments on the show. Viewers were hooked on the back-and-forth drama, the raw emotion, and the way Shea held her own without ever losing her cool for too long. She wasn't putting on a show, she was just being herself, bold, passionate, and always ready to call someone out when they deserved it. She brought balance to the chaos, and that made her unforgettable. But what also made her unforgettable was when her S-tape with ex-boyfriend Jessie J was made public. Bradley claimed the tape was made long before the pair were reality TV stars. Even though the tape leaked, Shea did not let it define her. After Buckwild ended, Shea didn't chase fame. Instead, she pivoted towards something more grounded and meaningful. And that's where her story takes a surprising and admirable turn. Shea returned to school and began the journey of becoming a registered nurse, trading red Solo cups for scrubs and stethoscopes. It wasn't just a career shift, it was a transformation. She worked hard, stayed focused, and eventually found herself working in one of the most demanding and respected units in healthcare. Vanderbilt University's cardiovascular intensive care unit in Nashville. Up until 2020, she was saving lives there every day, far removed from the muddy hollers and reality TV antics of her early 20s. These days, Shea calls Boca Raton, Florida, home. She's still that strong-willed Southern woman, but now her life is quieter, more settled, and centered around the things that matter most: family, stability, and purpose. She's active on social media, sharing glimpses into her world. For all the girls who watched Buckwild and saw someone like them, equal parts wild and wise, Shea Bradley became a reminder that growth is possible. You can love where you come from, make mistakes, get a little wild, and still build something solid. You can be spicy and smart, Southern and strong. Shea didn't burn out, she leveled up, and that's what makes her worth remembering. But Shea wasn't the only one rewriting the rules. Because if Shea was the Southern firecracker with a heart of gold, then Cara Parish was the rebel. Cara Parish. Since her Buckwild days, Cara Parish has risen to a very high profile. But before the boardrooms and brand strategy calls became her new reality, Cara Parish was the sharp-tongued rebel on Buckwild. With her gorgeous hair and a vibe that was equal parts punk and country, she wasn't just there to look pretty or play sidekick. Cara had her own energy, and it didn't go unnoticed. Where some cast members leaned into the wildness for the camera, Cara brought a kind of self-aware cool. She could roll her eyes at the drama, throw out a savage one-liner, and still jump into the mud when the time called for it. Born and raised in Morgantown, West Virginia, Cara had always been a little different from the rest. She had the small-town upbringing, sure, but you could tell from the start that her world was bigger. Before the MTV cameras came calling, she had already been modeling and exploring creative outlets, searching for something more than what was around her. So when Buckwild began casting for its first season, looking for young adults who embodied Appalachian youth in all its unfiltered glory, Cara fit. Fans connected with Cara for exactly that reason. She had her fair share of on-screen drama, especially with her then-boyfriend Tyler Boule. But even when things got messy, Cara never lost her edge. There was always a sense that she was playing the game on her own terms, and once the show ended, that's exactly what she did. Instead of chasing more reality TV gigs, Cara disappeared from the limelight and got to work. She poured herself into marketing and soon began climbing the ranks. Over the years, she built a name for herself in the industry, taking on roles with major global brands. But that was just the beginning. Cara didn't stop at working for other people. She started building her own empire. She's credited with founding 5 different companies and says she's helped launch more than 40 others. Whether it's strategic branding, digital engagement, or market disruption, Cara's made a name for herself as someone who doesn't just follow trends, she helps set them. Today, she's based in Williamsburg, Virginia, where she works as an international marketing consultant. And while her professional accomplishments are stacked, it's clear she's thriving personally too. Tyler Boule. Long before Buckwild hit TV screens, Tyler Boule already had a reputation in his hometown. The guy with the charm that kept girls close and drama closer. Tyler was the laid-back heartbreaker of Sissonville, West Virginia. And when Buckwilds came calling, Tyler quickly became one of the most talked-about cast members. When Buckwild premiered in 2013, Tyler was quickly pegged as the show's resident ladies' man. Tyler had this smoldering presence, the kind that made people wonder what he was thinking, what he was hiding, and who he'd end up with next. Most of the time, it was Cara Parish. Their relationship was rocky, explosive, and messy, but it was real. Fans loved tuning in just to see if they'd kiss, scream, or storm off next. But what made Tyler stand out wasn't just the relationship drama or the good looks. It was how genuine he actually was. He wasn't trying to be famous. He didn't chase the camera or stir up fake chaos for airtime. But then, almost as fast as it began, it all went dark. After the show ended, Tyler didn't try to extend his 15 minutes. No influencer career, no podcast, no second shot at reality TV. He vanished from the spotlight just as quickly as he entered it. Even on social media, you'll rarely see anything about him. His X account is nothing except Gemini daily horoscopes. His Instagram is private, only has 67 posts, and yet has 44.7K followers. His Facebook page states he worked at East Cumberland, which is believed to be a school. His profile picture hasn't been changed since June 2016. It is believed that Tyler is living in Seth, West Virginia. Looks like everyone's favorite boy is a little hard to keep track of. Anna Davis. When Buckwild exploded onto MTV in 2013, the cast was full of wild cards, mud-soaked daredevils, walking punchlines, and couples who broke up twice in the same episode. But then there was Anna Davis. She wasn't trying to steal every scene or play the villain. She didn't need to. With her laid-back vibe, soft drawl, and girl-next-door charm, Anna stood out precisely because she wasn't doing the most. Hailing from West Virginia like the rest of the crew, Anna had a different energy, less chaos, more calm. She was the kind of girl who could hang at a bonfire in boots and a hoodie, flash a killer smile, and have the whole crowd tuned in without saying much at all. She wasn't out here chasing fame or putting on for the cameras. She just was. And in a cast that thrived on rowdiness, that kind of authenticity hit differently. So how did Anna land on Buckwild? Simple. She was Buckwild. Not in the way that made headlines, but in the way that mattered. She knew how to party, how to keep it real, and how to stay loyal when things got messy. Producers weren't just looking for people who could flip ATVs or shotgun beers. They were looking for heart. And Anna had it. She was the balance, the quiet strength, the one who made you believe this whole wild ride might actually be grounded in something real. Fans picked up on that instantly. She was relatable, the kind of girl who wouldn't start the drama but would end it with one sentence and a raised eyebrow. She didn't need to perform because people just liked her. There was mystery there too. Anna never gave it all away. And that mystery? It followed her off-screen. But in 2013, Davis was arrested in November of 2013 for aggravated DUI. But that was the only time she was ever in the spotlight for bad reasons. When Buckwild was suddenly cut short, Anna dipped out. Since then, she's become a bit of a ghost story in the Buckwild fandom. The one who got out. The one who didn't get chewed up by the machine. Her profession today, nobody really knows. Her exact location? Somewhere in the South, but she's not handing out coordinates. And honestly, it's kind of perfect that way. Still, every now and then Anna drops a little breadcrumb on social media. A sunlit photo, a candid snap with friends, a smile that says, "I'm good, guys." Joey Mulcahy. Nicknamed Justin Beaver, Joey Mulcahy is one of the heartthrobs of the Buckwild series. Originally from the small town of Charleston, West Virginia, Joey joined the cast with close ties to fellow members, including his longtime friend Tyler Boule. Joey's laid-back energy and good looks quickly earned him a loyal group of fans who appreciated the contrast he brought to the otherwise rowdy and chaotic cast. What also drew people in was his short-lived romance with Shea Bradley. Their chemistry played out on screen with an ease that felt real, and their moments together sparked plenty of talk among fans. While the relationship didn't last, it was enough to make Joey one of the more talked-about names from the show, especially when viewers started speculating about what was going on behind the scenes. Once Buckwild came to an abrupt end, Joey, like the rest of his castmates, didn't try to stretch his fame. Instead, he stepped back and then completely disappeared. He didn't pivot to influencing or turn his 15 minutes into a brand. His social media eventually went dark and no interviews or updates followed. For someone who once had cameras following his every move, Joey seemed more than happy to live life off the grid. But that doesn't mean his track record has been squeaky clean. Like almost everyone else on the show, Joey got into trouble every now and then. In 2013, Mulcahy was arrested after totaling his car for driving under the influence, reckless driving, and failure to report an accident. Where he is now remains unclear. There's been no confirmed news about what he's up to or where he ended up, and it's safe to say that Joey prefers to keep it that way. Wherever he is now, we hope Joey is doing okay. Ashley Witt. Famously dubbed the Tomboy, Ashley Witt didn't need to put on a show to stand out on Buckwild. Hailing from Morgantown, West Virginia, Ashley was exactly the kind of no-filter personality producers were looking for when casting the MTV series. From the jump, fans were drawn to her for being loud, proud, and unbothered by what anyone thought. She lived for mudding, partying, and raising hell with her friends, and she did it all on her own terms. In 2016, Ashley Witt served 30 days in jail for a DWI arrest from May 2017, when she was stopped by police in Greenville, North Carolina. Whit has not been active on her public social media account since 2014. However, her Facebook page is active. According to her page, she is a receptionist at Courtyard Marriott in Charleston and just got in a relationship in early July. For those who adore Whit's tomboy nature, her pictures can be found on her social media pages. Now to the last cast member on our list, Katie Saria. When the Buckwild producers rolled through small-town West Virginia, they were fishing for big personalities. They found Katie Saria. On screen, she didn't just drift with the chaos, she observed it, cracked her dry jokes, and held her ground. Fans gravitated toward her. She was equal parts grounded and bold, kind of the real relatable person amid all the mud races and bar fights. Unlike her other castmates, Katie did not get involved in any DUIs. According to Katie Saria's Facebook page, she is a marketing coordinator at Herbalife and a former au pair at Au Pair. She resides in Los Angeles, California. She keeps an impressive LinkedIn page. She used to keep a public blog. Her last post is from August 2016. However, her Instagram page has been inactive since 2012. Fans can still follow her life through her public X page, proof that Katie's story didn't end with reality TV. Which Buckwild cast was your favorite? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.